Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of the Rush Hour podcast with a Justin Baldoni update following the devastating news yesterday that the judge was dismissing Justin Baldoni's $400 million defamation lawsuit against Blake Lively. We now are getting some rallying cry from Justin Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman. There has been talk about how Brian Friedman may have bungled this case, although proving defamation is extremely hard. What the judge essentially said yesterday was, no matter what you put together, no matter what evidence or star witnesses you had, you weren't going to be able to sue for defamation if it only had to do with the claims that Blake Lively made in her complaint, which was protected speech, privileged, and couldn't be touched. So anyhow, we're going to get into Justin's response. Yesterday, the wind was taken out of the sails of the Justin Baldoni community. So much so that your own member, your boy Dave, lost a decent amount of subscribers. I think people were deflated and said, you know what, I don't want to follow this case anymore. But I'm here to tell you the fight isn't over. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to earn back your trust. Hit the subscribe button as we have a lot to get into. We have comments made by Justin's former podcast co-host, Liz Plank. That's not going to make you happy. But we have what Justin Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, had to say. We're going to dive into that right now exclusively. He spoke to TMZ. He spoke to Daily Mail. We're going to share those thoughts. Of course, we're not going to hear from Justin Baldoni himself. Although yesterday, of course, as soon as this decision was made, Blake Lively fired off her response, which was quite ridiculous, if you ask me. Ridiculous because I'm going to share it with you guys. It involved like this victory lap she took. Here it is, right? She takes this victory lap like, I stand with the 19 or so organizations, even though the judge said, listen, I didn't make my decision based on these organizations or really anything you did. It's more what Justin Baldoni didn't do, which is prove that she defamed him outside of that narrow protected scope. I mean, I got to give credit in one way to Blake Lively here. She put herself in a situation that really protected her by claiming to be a victim. And again, maybe she is. That'll play out in court. She still has to prove that. I don't think she will. Just like Baldoni didn't prove that she defamed him because she only did it through this complaint and he can't touch those accusations because it's surrounded in through the court system. I don't think that Blake's going to prove she was harassed at all. Justin still has a lot to prove, and it's not all bad. There's a lot of good things in here. Unshaken. I'm going to read it. I mean, Justin Baldoni, they use these strong words. Unshaken. Justin Baldoni fights back as judge rules his extortion case against Blake Lively is not over. Now, I would venture to say anyone who's been following this case closely has been shaken. Yesterday kind of sucked for people that believe Justin Baldoni. They believe that the court system wasn't working in his favor because it was such a high threshold of proof that they wouldn't even let this thing get to trial. They wouldn't even, the judge basically said, you don't have enough here. And Baldoni's side probably was thinking, yeah, that's what the depositions were for. We know what happened. We just need to talk to people and get them on record. And they said, no, it doesn't work that way. So he fights back as the judge ruled his extortion case against Blake Lively is not over. Blake Lively claimed to have scored total victory after Justin Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit against her was sensationally dismissed by a New York judge yesterday. And look, I understand from a PR perspective that Blake would take this victory lap, but she's only won the inning. She has not won the game, or she's only won the match, not the war, whatever metaphor you want to use here. She's only won the foreplay. Okay, now that's a weird one. But either way, she discusses it. She sort of latches herself like a barnacle onto the sort of ship of victimhood where she pretends to be this person. I'm fighting for other people. What we have to realize is, as is the case with most celebrities, is Blake's only looking out for herself. She probably speaks in third person when she's talking to her team, what we're trying to do with our brand, all of those types of things. So just know, as far as this case is concerned, she's got a lot to prove. And right now, this victory lap really isn't what, anyone who's following the case would believe to be a sort of real incredible victory lap. Although it'll probably work for those that are just kind of following this, on the back burner, as it were. The Daily Mail can exclusively reveal that not only the defamation part of the lawsuit was tossed, and that Baldoni's team has been allowed to file an amended complaint, leaving Blake Lively and husband Ryan Reynolds still fighting a battle over 4 more claims, ranging from invasion of privacy to civil extortion. So I guess the question is, should Justin Baldoni have never claimed defamation in the first place? I still think for PR reasons it was good to fight that fight, but, it wasn't really winnable, so it was a loss that was probably inevitable. The Daily Mail also exclusively reveals that Lively is facing being deposed by the Jane the Virgin star's lawyer, and that a motion to do just that was filed last week, it is claimed. So this is a big deal. He is licking at the chops to depose Blake Lively. The sting in the tail came as Baldoni's team broke their silence to say her claims of triumph are false, while hitting out at the statement Lively made last night, calling her partial victory a win for women. In a battling statement exclusively released to the Daily Mail. All right, how many times do they have to say it's exclusive? Baldoni's lawyer, it's like he probably copy and pasted this and sent it to everyone. You're not that special, Daily Mail. You're just on the text message chain. It's like the Daily Mail is like someone who signs up for a girl's OnlyFans account, and it's like, no, we have a good relationship. No, the stripper really likes me. Sure, Daily Mail. Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, said her claims of harassment that sparked the legal war are no truer today than they were yesterday, and thanks to the public for their unmitigated support. That's right. You have to remember, Baldoni's defamation lawsuit being dismissed has nothing to do with Blake's lawsuit against him. Now, could Blake Lively dismiss her lawsuit? At this point, I'm being told she would have to get permission from the judge and Justin Baldoni. Justin Baldoni, even though it would save him a lot of legal fees to dismiss, wants this thing to go to jury trial. He has nothing to lose at this point. The more she claims victory, the more he's going to double down and say, you know what, let's do victory in the courtroom. Let's do this thing. So his statement read, Miss Lively and her team's predictable declarations of victory is false. So let us be clear about the latest ruling. While the court dismissed the defamation-related claims, the court has invited us to amend 4 out of the 7 claims against Miss Lively, which will showcase additional evidence and refined allegations. Where's the Taylor Swift subpoena? Now, I could be wrong. I thought the judge dismissed the extortion claim, which means they couldn't bring back any of the Taylor Swift stuff. I could be wrong. I don't know. This case is about false accusations of harassment and retaliation in a non-existent smear campaign, which Miss Lively's own team conveniently describes as untraceable because they cannot prove what never happened. Most importantly, Miss Lively's own claims are no truer today than they were yesterday. And with the facts on our side, we march forward with the same confidence that we had when Miss Lively and her cohorts initiated this battle, and look forward to her forthcoming deposition, which I will be taking. Brian Friedman licking his chops. We are grateful for the organic show of support from the public and for the dedication of the internet sleuth community, who continue to cover the case with discernment and integrity. According to a spokesperson for Blake, there has been no motion to depose Blake, and extortion has been tossed from the case. They can only amend the claims of tortious interference and breach of contract. So my question is, will they be able to use any of the Taylor Swift stuff now that they've kind of thrown out what they believed was extortion with regard to Blake Lively, emailing Taylor Swift saying, you have to support me or I'm going to share the text. My question now is, does this reinvite a subpoena of Taylor Swift? Do they say, look, we lost that other claim. Now we're going to need something else from you, old Tay-Tay. We're going to need a new album dedicated to you, trashing Ryan Reynolds. That's obvious. And again, there's been so much fan fiction written. Some people are saying this week you're going to see Taylor Swift out with Blake Lively. I have to tell you, the worst thing that can happen right now for Justin Baldoni is if publicly Taylor Swift supports Blake Lively, whether through a statement or through hanging out together. The fact that we haven't seen that, to me, shows that Justin Baldoni has a fighting case here, right? There will be people who support Blake Lively that will hitch themselves to her wagon thinking like that's the gravy train, or maybe they really believe her. But until she gets Taylor Swift, I still think Justin Baldoni has a strong case here, because whatever, it's almost like whatever information Taylor Swift may or may not have will be a big deal. It'll be a big deal. Oh, I'm getting pop-up ads. Oh my gosh. Sorry about this, folks. It's the Daily Mail. It's nothing. Oh my gosh, we're getting so many pop-up ads. So there's a statement from Brian Friedman. Let's see what he says to TMZ, because he's giving sort of similar yet different statements. So as far as this lawsuit goes, Brian Friedman tells TMZ, Miss Lively and her team's predictable declarations of victory is false, so let us be clear about the latest ruling. While the court dismissed the defamation claims, the court has invited us to amend 4. So basically he said the same thing. This case is a false accusation of harassment and retaliation in a non-existent smear campaign. So they basically get the same statement. All right, so what does this mean moving forward? Well, it means, there's still sure, there's a massive letdown now that this defamation case isn't going to happen. All of the sort of defamation-related depositions no longer going to happen. But in my opinion, the sort of Venn diagram that exists here of what Justin Baldoni's legal team was going to depose Blake Lively for, there's still a lot of meat on the bone, right? It's still a big deal that they say, look, we can't get her for defamation. She filed all these things through, and by the way, she filed it like half-assed, right, through the California system, where like she didn't press send, right? She filed it all. She kind of sat on it. She let the New York Times see it. The New York Times has taken a victory lap on this, but of course, anyone who's been following it knows there's just so much more to this story that was not, or that wasn't in that initial complaint. Like, for instance, this victory lap you're going to see kind of be pushed really hard through her PR. Blake Lively cried with relief after Justin Baldoni's lawsuit dismissal. She feels vindicated. I'm vindicated. I was selfish. I was wrong. Okay, is that the way the song goes? My apologies. So, again, folks online, for those who felt let down, I hope the quote from Brian Friedman filled your cup today. We are grateful for the organic show of support from the public and for the dedication of the internet sleuth community. Yeah, that's a massive shout out to the community that they understand it's organic. Now, does Blake Lively have an organic community? Not really. I'll say this about Blake Lively's fan base. It seems as though she doesn't have like diehard fans. She just has a large following. Say she's got 50 million on Instagram, whatever the number is. Out of those 50 million, how many people have followed this on the day-to-day? So say she loses a small percentage. It's still a gigantic audience bigger than Justin Baldoni's. But what Justin Baldoni's community has is people that are like digging down in the trenches, reporting, calling out communication or half-truths or things like that. So that pony will be ridden for a long time as this trial is set for March of 2026. The depositions will be huge. Now, Blake Lively's side, they're declaring more victory. They're saying from the limited discovery we've received, we have more information to prove our point. While we can go back and forth, we're going to see this thing play out in court. Of course, I told you guys, if you got me to 100,000 subscribers, I would literally camp out in New York for the month. And I've actually joined a renters community in New York City because they don't have Airbnb. It's a private community of people that kind of like house swap. And I am prepared to put the money down, to put the money where the mouth is, to be there all month long to cover this. And my goal is I will sort of live stream with you guys during the day. And then every afternoon, I'll go to the courthouse and see if we can get any interviews as court's being let out, things like that. I'm going to strap some Starlink to my head, and we're going to be going hard on this thing. We want to make sure everyone gets all the information that comes out. So right now, the judge, of course, has changed the direction of how this thing goes. But I would encourage people to stay positive and know that the truth will rise to the surface, and we're going to be here to cover that. So if you like my channel, you can hit the subscribe button. The other way to donate, if you would like, is to join our private Patreon community, patreon.com/Dave Neal. I'm live with them right now, so you can literally watch me as I make this and join the chat where everyone hangs out. It's a good community. We call it Work with Dave. If you are at an office job or somewhere, if you're even at home hanging out with your kid and you just want to throw us on the TV, it's like having a friend here for the journey. So I appreciate everyone who's been supporting us, and the beat goes on. We'll be back with more content, as we've now heard from Liz Plank, Justin's former co-host, coming up next for subscribers only. So make sure you're subscribed to the podcast right here on YouTube. For subscribers only, I'll share that video coming next. Oh, I got to hit end.